Losing body fat is near impossible. At least that's what it feels like when you hear all of the BS fat loss myths out there. For years I believed them, followed the wrong advice, tried every solution, but I made no progress. But then I finally found what actually works and I managed to lose 70 pounds of body fat. And in this video I'm going to share with you the top 5 myths that held me back for years so that you can stop wasting time and finally see the results that you want. The first myth is the one that held me back the most, and it's the idea that you have to eat clean in order to lose fat. It's everywhere nowadays with diets like keto and carnivore, as well as no carb and no sugar. Yes, it sounds good on paper, but it's setting you up for failure. Because the second you tell yourself you can never eat a certain food ever again, guess what happens? You start craving it more than ever. And 99% of people simply can't stick to that kind of restriction, myself included. Every time I tried it, the same thing happened. For the first few days I felt motivated and I thought finally this is it. But then the cravings hit. I'd give in, eat a chocolate bar or a packet of crisps, and just like that I'd label myself as a failure. So then I'd say fuck it and go completely off the rails, binge eat, and before I knew it, I was back at square one. I was trapped in this vicious cycle for years, and it was because I was trying to adhere to something that was completely unsustainable. Clean eating sounds good in theory, yes, but for most people it's unsustainable. So instead, go for a calorie deficit and an 80-20 diet. It's so much more simple that way. 80% of your calories are going to come from single ingredient whole sources like beef, eggs, and vegetables, and 20% can come from whatever you want: ice cream, crisps, chocolate, whatever. As long as you're consistently hitting your calorie intake and your protein intake, you're going to lose fat by doing this, and it's going to feel 10 times easier than trying to eat clean. Your diet needs to do 2 things for you. 1, it needs to get you to your desired result, and 2, it needs to be sustainable for long enough for you to see that desired result. And the 80-20 diet covers both of those bases. The second myth is one of the most common ones you will hear, and it's the notion that carbs make you fat. Let me make something clear. Carbs do not make you fat. Too many calories make you fat. The reason why this one is so commonly believed is because when you cut carbs out, you lose a lot of weight in the first 1 to 2 weeks, but it's not fat, it's water weight. Carbs are stored in your muscles as glycogen, and for every gram of carbs your body stores, it also holds 3 to 4 grams of water. So when you cut carbs out, your body flushes out that water, causing the scale to drop fast. So naturally, people associate carbs with weight gain, but that's completely counterintuitive because actually carbs are very important if you're trying to lose fat. They give you the energy you need to maintain intensity when you're working out, which is going to help you retain and even build muscle mass whilst you're in a calorie deficit. The only issue with carbs is where you're actually getting them from, so make sure that most of your carbs are coming from whole sources like rice, potatoes, and fruit. Again, the 80-20 rule applies perfectly here. But the bottom line is that carbs do not make you fat, and they actually help you when you're trying to lose fat. This third one's been floating around for years, and it's the idea that somehow eating at night leads you to gain more fat. Let me just straight up tell you that is not true. Your body doesn't somehow store more fat magically as soon as the sun goes down. However, there is some truth when it comes to this myth. Let's be honest with ourselves right now. If we eat beyond 9 p.m., 90% of the time it's something high calorie that we are craving, whether that be a pizza, a family-sized bag of crisps, or a whole tub of ice cream. So it doesn't have anything to do with the time of day itself, it's the habit. So to stop that, you have 2 options here. My preferred option here is a restricted eating window. And that's where you give yourself an 8 to 10 hour window per day where you're going to consume all of your calories. Personally, I'd recommend something like 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And that completely gets rid of those nighttime binges because you literally cannot eat beyond 7 p.m. Or you can do something like save calories from earlier in the day for the nighttime when you know those cravings are going to kick in. The only problem with that is that you're relying a lot on willpower. So personally, I wouldn't recommend that, and I'd go with the restricted eating window. So again, there's nothing wrong with eating at night as long as you stay within your calorie deficit. Eating at night doesn't make you fat. Mindless eating makes you fat. The next myth is probably the worst thing you can do if you're trying to lose fat. And it's something I personally fell for a lot in my first year when I was trying to lose fat. And it's the whole thing of, oh, if I just eat as little calories as possible, surely I'll lose fat faster, right? And that couldn't be more wrong. Yes, fat loss comes from being in a calorie deficit, but there's a limit to where you push that too far and it actually starts to work against you. The absolute biggest deficit you can ever safely maintain is a 1,000 calorie daily deficit. Any more than that and you're essentially starving yourself. And that's going to come with a bunch of problems. Firstly, it will completely crash your energy levels, so you're going to feel like shit all the time, and your workouts will suffer due to this. It will also destroy your hormone levels and give you constant hunger cravings, as well as crashing your metabolism, which is going to make it harder and harder to lose fat. But worst of all, your body will begin to burn muscle mass as fuel as well as fat, and you're going to end up skinny fat this way. Not only that, but it's completely unsustainable. Yes, maybe if you push it, you'll be able to stick to it for 2 weeks, but eventually you will break. You will binge eat, you will rebound diet, and 9 times out of 10, you're actually going to end up fatter than you were before you started the extreme deficit. The best approach for 99% of people is a 500 calorie daily deficit. It's a moderate calorie deficit that will allow you to lose 1 pound of body fat per week. But most importantly, you'll be able to stick to it for a long period of time because it's not going to crash your energy or your hormones, and you're not going to feel that hungry. And if you can stick to a calorie deficit for long enough, you're going to see the results you want. Just remember, fat loss is about consistency, not extremity. The fifth and final myth is the one that pisses me off the most because it makes people think they have to suffer in order to lose fat. And it's the whole thing of, oh, you have to do intense cardio in order to lose fat. And that's just not true. Look, cardio is of course amazing for fat loss, but you don't need to run 5 miles a day, do 7 HIIT classes a week, or spend your life on the fucking Stairmaster in order to lose fat. Fat loss occurs when you're in a calorie deficit, and cardio is just a tool that makes hitting your calorie deficit easier. But there are a few problems with intense cardio, especially when you're just starting out. Firstly, it's really hard to recover from, so it can put you out of action for a long time. I remember back when I was 248 pounds, and I first decided, okay, I'm gonna go for a run. I ran 1 mile, and I swear to God, I could barely walk for the next week. Not only that, but it spikes your hunger to levels that you have never experienced before. And that makes you think that you've burnt more calories than you actually have doing that cardio. And that's going to make you eat more food, you're going to go over your deficit, and you're not going to lose fat. And thirdly, most people hate intense cardio, so they quit before they even lose 1 pound of fat. So what should you do instead? Walk. Walking burns calories, reduces stress, improves recovery, and you can do it every single day without breaking your body down. 10k steps a day adds up to thousands of calories burned per week. And combine that with weight training 3 to 4 times a week, a solid diet, and proper recovery, that is your fat loss formula. So no, you do not need intense cardio in order to lose fat. You need to move more, stay in a calorie deficit, weight train, and eat properly, and you will lose fat. Follow the basics consistently and you are going to get the result that you want. Stop falling for all the bullshit out there because it's only going to hold you back. If you're interested in working one-on-one with me so you can get in the best shape of your life, you could book a call down below in the description. Other than that, if this video helped, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.